Today I wanted to keep it simple and basic and just bring it back to the fundamentals of 3 basic tips that you can do to build more muscle. If you're somebody that wants to learn how to build more muscle and how to lose body fat, then subscribe to this YouTube channel, and there's just a little bell. If you click that bell, YouTube will notify you every time I upload a new YouTube video. I've noticed that some of you aren't staying to the end of these videos, and it's very important that you do if you want to get all of the information. So today what I've done is just listed out right here what we're going to talk about briefly. So tip number 1 is increase your calorie intake, tip number 2 is lift heavy weights, and tip number 3 is get more sleep. Now what we're going to do is break them all down step by step, and I'm going to talk a little bit about all of these and how you can go a little deeper with all of them. Tip number 1, so you need to eat in a calorie deficit, or you need to eat more calories if you want to build more muscle. I'm not saying that you can't build muscle in a calorie deficit if you're eating less calories. What I am saying is it's not optimal to build muscle in a calorie deficit. Building muscle is not like losing body fat. Losing body fat, although for some people is very difficult, it is actually an easy process. You can lose a couple of pounds per week, whereas when it comes to building muscle mass, it's a very difficult process for the body, and the body can do it, but we need to do what's optimal, and what is optimal is eating in a calorie surplus. Because it's so difficult to build that extra muscle, I mean, you can't build 1 to 2 pounds of muscle in a week. You might build 1 to 2 pounds of muscle in 1 to 2 months, but you're not going to be able to do that like you can with the fat loss. Eating in a calorie surplus just means that you're eating more calories per day than your body burns so that you can gain weight, and the goal is to gain muscle. When we gain weight, we will inevitably gain some body fat as well. The goal is to minimize the amount of body fat that we gain so that it's not too difficult to just get rid of that extra body fat. To make your muscles grow, we obviously need to be training in the gym with weights, and we'll get onto that in a minute, but also you need to be eating more calories throughout the day to support that weight training so the muscles can grow bigger. You now know the importance of eating more calories, but you might wonder how you can work out how to eat in a calorie surplus. So here's what I recommend to people. Take your body weight in pounds and multiply your body weight in pounds by 16 to 20. So anywhere in that range, you'll get a number. Whatever that number is how many calories you should aim to eat each day. Now I recommend starting out at 16 times your body weight, because we don't want to start out too high and gain too much weight quickly. So the goal should always be, and always remember this, you don't want to gain more than 0.5 to 1 pound in a week. So you should get on the scales every single week, and you should not be gaining more than 1 pound a week. The reason why is because if you're gaining more than a pound a week, all of that extra weight is just body fat. You're not going to be able to eat more and build more muscle. There's a limit, a genetic limit to how much muscle you can put on in a week, how much muscle you can put on in a month. And so I don't want you to be eating too many calories to where you're just gaining body fat and not muscle. So take your body weight in pounds, multiply by 16, eat that number of calories per day for a week. At the start of the week you weigh yourself, and at the end of the week you weigh yourself to see how much weight you've gained. If you've gained more than a pound of body weight, then reduce the calories by a few hundred, and if you've gained less than half a pound, then add a few hundred calories. One extra little tip I want to throw in there is protein intake. Now if you're sort of training in your first year, then eat 100 grams of protein a day to 150 grams of protein a day. Anywhere in that range is good for most beginners, and it's not the most important thing when you start out. If you want a more in-depth video on exactly how much protein you need to eat, then I have a video on that you can watch once this video is finished. Tip number 2, you need to lift heavy weight. Now I know that a lot of beginners are lifting too light, and a lot of people are scared, and even women as well are scared to lift heavy weight. You need to be lifting in the 6 to 10 rep range is what I've found best to build the most muscle, and I have a video on that as well about rep ranges that you can watch after this video. If the weight you are lifting is too light, 15, 20 repetitions every time, you're not challenging the muscle enough to grow. And it doesn't mean that higher reps you can't build muscle, because you can. It's just not optimal for a natural lifter to be lifting in a 20 rep range. Don't be scared of lifting heavier weights. It's all about controlling the weight and focusing on your form. If you're focusing on your form, there's no reason you should be getting injured from training. In terms of your weekly training volume, I recommend a minimum of 9 sets per week per body part, with the exception of the biceps and the triceps, which can have a little bit of a lower volume, so you could go with 6 sets for biceps, 6 sets for triceps per week. Now remember, this is advice just for a day one beginner, so if you've been training a little longer, you might want to bump your weekly volume up to 12 sets per body part, even 15 sets per body part if you've been training a few years. So it's all about your experience level and your current ability. The best way that I would split your volume up is doing 3 workouts per week and full body workouts. So we're not splitting the body parts up into certain days. We're doing 3 workouts Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And what we're going to do is train every muscle in that one session. So what you would do is for chest, for example, if your goal is to hit 9 sets of chest per week, we would hit on Monday 3 sets of chest, 3 sets of back, 3 sets of legs, 3 sets of shoulders, 2 sets of biceps and 2 sets of triceps. And then you would repeat that Wednesday and Friday. The same is for you if you're hitting 12 or 15 sets per week. You just split that volume up throughout the week. Talking about full body workouts versus split routine, I'm recommending full body workouts, which is not necessarily popular in the industry. More people recommend splits than full body workouts. And at the end of this video, I do have also a video, a full body workout versus split routines video, because I don't want to talk about it and waste too much time in this video. When it comes to your exercise selection and choosing your exercises, what I need you to do is focus on compound movements. Compound movements are movements that work multiple muscle groups in one. So let's just take the chest for example. Let's say we're doing a cable chest fly or any sort of chest fly, whether it's on the pec deck machine, whether it's with dumbbells, it doesn't matter. That exercise is working the chest, and that's what it's supposed to do. But because it's an isolation exercise, you're just isolating the chest. We're not working multiple muscles with that chest exercise. Now, if we take a bench press, for example, we're working the chest, that's the goal, but because we're pushing with the bench press, we're also working the shoulders, we're also working the triceps as well. And so if you have 3 sets to do of a chest exercise on Monday, you want to be choosing compound movements and exercises that are going to give you the most growth for the amount of sets that you're doing. Compound movements also boost your testosterone and growth hormone because they're very strenuous on the body. You're working more muscle groups. It requires more effort to do those exercises. Now we know that you've got your training on point, you're doing the right things in the gym, you're eating enough calories and enough protein to support the work that you're doing in the gym. We now need the most important part, in my opinion, which is the recovery. You can do all the training in the world, you can have the best diet in the world, but if you're not recovering from those sessions, then you're not going to grow. So this is where sleep comes in. Tip number 3 is sleep. The more sleep you get, generally speaking, the more you're going to grow. In the modern world, having less sleep has become more popular. We're becoming more busy, we're going out more, we're doing more things, we're staying up later, we're playing video games, going out clubbing, doing all sorts of things. And all of those things can be fun, but people need to be reminded that your body doesn't grow while you're in the gym. You're actually tearing the muscle tissue down when you're in the gym. You're actually damaging the muscle. It's the calories and the protein, and more importantly the sleep, is when all those things are combined to regrow the muscle bigger and stronger. Without a combination of all of those things and a combination of good sleep, you're not going to be able to build bigger muscle, you're not going to be able to grow. The least amount of sleep that I would recommend for anybody to get is 7 hours sleep per night. The most that I recommend is 9 hours. There is exceptions to this rule. When you start to go over 9 hours, it actually becomes less healthy. Now again, there are some unique scenarios where certain athletes would need 10 hours of sleep a night, and there are some unique scenarios where some people only need 5 or 6 hours a night. But for 99% of you watching this video, 7 to 9 hours is the sweet spot.